Welcome. Today we'll discuss one of the most fascinating phenomena in modern geopolitics. 200 missiles launched, 200 missiles intercepted. Only one reached its target. These are real data from a recent military conflict. One side demonstrated remarkable effectiveness of their air defense systems. Such results make us think about the nature of technological superiority in the modern world. Over the past decades, we've observed an amazing trend. Countries that are small in territory and population demonstrate impressive achievements in high technology. Today, numerous regional conflicts exist around the world, and in each of them, we see how technological superiority determines the outcome of confrontation. But what exactly creates this superiority? Why do some countries become leaders in innovation, while others remain consumers of technology? Let's examine a specific example of modern technological confrontation. A recent conflict showed a striking difference in military technology levels. Air defense systems of one side showed 99.5% effectiveness. The opposing side could not effectively counter airstrikes. This resembles a situation where armies use technologies from different eras. And here arises the central question of our research. What determines the technological superiority of some countries over others? It's not always about resources. Many countries rich in natural resources are not technological leaders. It's not about territory. The size of a country doesn't guarantee innovative development. It's not about international support. Even with allies, technological gaps can persist. So the reason lies in other factors, something more fundamental. From a political science perspective, some countries function as centers of global influence. What does this mean? These are states that can influence international politics disproportionately to their size. Look at examples. Small European countries play key roles in international organizations. Technology companies from relatively small countries determine global trends. Small nations can influence decisions of major powers in certain regions. But how does this work? What mechanisms allow small countries to gain such influence? The answer is connected to the peculiarities of national thinking and educational systems. We're talking about how cultural traditions shape approaches to problem solving. For millennia, different civilizations have developed various models of thinking. Some of these models proved particularly effective in the modern technological world. Some cultures learned to adapt to changes. Others learned to create changes, and this difference can be studied using scientific methods. In upcoming episodes, we'll investigate these questions in detail. First, we'll study different educational models and their impact on innovative potential. Second, we'll analyze historical examples of how cultural traditions influence technological development. Third, we'll examine modern educational systems and their role in creating innovative economies. Finally, we'll study statistical data on the distribution of scientific achievements across different regions of the world. This will be strictly scientific analysis. We'll rely on statistics, historical data, and academic research. Understanding these mechanisms is important for our time. We live in an era when intellectual capital determines the competitiveness of nations. Technologies, financial systems, information platforms. In all these spheres, those who process information more efficiently and generate new solutions lead the way. In the next episode, we'll start with an analysis of educational models. We'll examine how different approaches to learning shape different types of thinking. If you're interested in innovation and technological development, subscribe to the channel. In the comments, share which aspects of this topic interest you most. See you in the next episode. Welcome back. In our previous episode, we discovered that Israel consistently defeats much larger countries through technological superiority. But what creates this superiority? Why do 8 million people outthink 400 million? Today we'll examine the deepest roots of this phenomenon. We're going back thousands of years to understand how different types of religious thinking shape completely different types of intellect. The answer lies in understanding two fundamentally different worldview systems: polytheism and monotheism. In the modern world, there are two main types of religious systems that are fundamentally different from each other. These are polytheism and monotheism. The first belongs to the category of natural religions, which from ancient times to the present day are represented by an infinite variety. In many countries, they are known as paganism. Since ancient times, pagans worshipped not the one God, the Creator, but the creation itself. In this sense, paganism appears as a synonym for idolatry. In contrast to polytheism, we find monotheistic religions, which uncompromisingly separate the creative principle and the created principle into polar opposites. For the first time, this was done in Judaism, which implacably opposed the paganism that prevailed in the ancient Mediterranean world. Unlike the numerous traditions of ancient gods who were considered part of the cosmos and personified forces of nature, Judaism established the confession of a single, transcendent, absolute God as the foundation of monotheism. Now here's where it gets fascinating. These two religious systems create completely different approaches to thinking and problem solving. If in the pagan worldview the goal was to merge with the natural environment, then for the monotheistic understanding, the goal was reconstruction of the inner world to achieve holiness. The opposing standpoints of polytheism and monotheism can be correlated with the concepts of adaptability and creativity. Let me explain what this means in practical terms. The underlying essence of any pagan model is that a person borrows his capabilities, abilities, and life programs from natural phenomena that determine his existence. A leading scholar of paganism explains this as follows. Religion only makes a person happy when it stems from his natural nature. A person is an elementary adaptation to achieve goals. Any variety of paganism allows you to think this way. But monotheism does not allow you to think this way. That's the root of the differences. From this pagan perspective, people's whole lives, their inner world, thinking, and mental attitudes are shaped by their experience of the present world, of which they are a part. For thousands of years, this adaptive, imitative mode of pagan worldview was provided by causal determination. It was determined by the external environment, where people and gods are connected only by the world of nature. This is why causal determination inevitably determined the structure of the inner mental world of pagans, which in principle could not form qualitatively new mental properties. Think about what this means. The pagan world did not know the idea of development. Everything in it was repeated from cycle to cycle. With the advent of Jewish monotheism, the natural way of human existence gave way to a spiritualized existence, the source of which was the one God, who created man in his image. This being was determined by goal determination, which had a superconscious character. It was formed by the Jew as a subject of activity, projecting onto himself the qualities of the transcendental God known from the Torah. Thus, the adoption of monotheism by the people of Israel led to a revolutionary change. Genesis replaced evolution. Adaptation and imitation of nature gave way to the historical process, the first subject and creator of which was the people of Israel. A great scholar observed, "A special light shines from the very beginning on this small, lonely people. How much easier it would have been for the Jews if they had agreed to merge with pagan cults. But each time they were held back by the fiery obsession of a few inspired ones." What's the practical difference? Evolution as an adaptive mode of existence did not form fundamentally new mental traits among pagans. The pagan world repeated the same patterns endlessly. But Genesis, as the formation of new quality, predetermined the development of a different type of life. Being as creative self-determination of the subject in the image and likeness of God. This singled out man from the natural context, predetermined his unconditional primacy in the world and power among all created things. Here's the key insight. If adaptation over time improved the existing type of man, then creative development formed a radically different self-determined subject with new mental qualities. Historically, a monotheistic person, through acquired subjectivity, gained the ability to go beyond the adaptive pagan type of existence, into the space of creative transformation of both the natural and social environment. The creative monotheistic subject developed the ability to go beyond ordinary necessity and create the history of not only his own life, but also of the society of which he is an active part. All adaptive forms of pagan life activity are mentally limited. They are not capable of transcendence, going beyond the limits of existence pre-established by nature. They could recreate and continue themselves, but lack the potential for self-determination, which is an attribute of an active subject. Any adaptive form of life is essentially incapable of self-overcoming. The evolutionary process subordinates the object changing under its influence. But the historical process is created by the monotheistic subject itself, which creates itself and transforms the surrounding world. This life contains a fundamental principle that is outside the natural world. Human existence becomes not only the implementation, but also the creation of its essence. In this context, it becomes clear why Judaism had paradigmatic significance for the subsequent development of European civilization. A person, going beyond adaptive pagan forms and relating to himself, creates the opportunity to be the subject of his own creativity. As a subject, he actively creates history, creates himself, his new abilities, values, and strategic goals. This is why Israel consistently outperforms much larger countries. While pagan and neo-pagan societies remain trapped in adaptive thinking, Jewish monotheistic thinking creates and transforms reality. In our next episode, we'll examine exactly how this monotheistic thinking developed the capacity for transcendence. We'll explore how Jews became the first people in history to systematically go beyond natural limitations. If this analysis interests you, subscribe to the channel. In the comments, let me know. Do you see examples of adaptive versus creative thinking in modern societies? See you in the next episode, where we'll discover how monotheism created the first truly creative human being in history.